Welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys. We have a special guest in the house, Doina Oncel, and I'm going to get that right. And I'm so excited because guess what? Today we are talking about how to achieve financial freedom. She helps youth and parents achieve their financial dreams. And we know on the Own It Show, we like to help uncommon knowledge become common because it's one of the key things that you need to know to be successful in life. And yet, it is not commonly talked about or taught in schools. And most people, 95% of the population, do not have financial intelligence. Not their fault, just simply because it's not taught. So ignorance is not bliss. And how do we become not ignorant? Ignorant meaning just lack of knowledge. We want to increase our knowledge and increase our financial intelligence. And so I'm going to be bringing on a few different guests to speak about this year to make sure that we all end up in the 5% who are owning our life and creating that financial freedom. So I'm so grateful to have you with us, Doina. Please tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me here, Heather. I really appreciate it. So about me, I'm an entrepreneur. I am a mother, and I love money, and I love to talk about money, mainly because of my past experience and the things that I've learned along the way. And I have a huge passion, especially now and during these times. I want to share that with the world, young people especially, because I feel like the younger you learn, the more knowledge you gain early in life, and then you can actually change and break generational curses, like to say it, and build generational wealth instead. So that's who I am in a
I love
nutshell.
that. We almost need a t-shirt that says on the front, we break generational money curses, and on the
Yeah.
back, instead, create financial freedom and independence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you have quite an interesting story about your journey as an entrepreneur and also about your money journey. So
Yeah.
please share with us so we can inspire others to see how
Sure.
it is possible to thrive as an entrepreneur, but also to thrive with their money.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. So my money journey and even the entrepreneurship journey started about 15 years ago. Well, I knew I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I never seen anyone, but I would pretend I would be the boss, and I would have my own board meetings with my imaginary board members, and I will have presentations with slides, and we talk about projections and stuff. I don't know where that came from, but I feel like I was born to be an entrepreneur. But with my money story is about 15 years ago, actually, I was really okay beforehand. I thought I knew how to manage my money. I thought I knew how to be okay financially. And then I got into a really bad relationship, I would say. And when that all broke down, I found myself $60,000 in debt and homeless with two children. One of my youngest daughter was not even 1 year old. And I would have bill collectors calling me all the time. I would have, I couldn't even rent an apartment because my credit was really bad. And so, I was also on welfare. And I tried as much as possible at that time to do with whatever I had to start a business. But even that, more importantly, was to to learn about money, And then I met someone, and then she actually came to my house and she told me a little bit about money, and I felt like I really need to understand, because what she said to me, which was really, really true, is like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave my kids? Do I want to leave debt or wealth? And I said, well, of course, I don't want my kids to go through what I'm going through. So once she opened that door for me, I started investing while I was still on welfare, started investing $20 a month, making sure that their education is taken care of. If nothing else, they should have an education. They should have access to that. So I started investing $20 a month because that's all I had while I was on welfare. And then from there, I started educating myself. And anyone that would was willing to teach me. I was willing to learn. I would go to seminars, I would go to workshops, I would go to conferences so we can talk about money, anything to do with money. And I found that for me was the best investment I could give myself, because that's when I realized it's not really about how much money you make, it's about what you do with the money.
Mm.
From those educations that I got along the way, I learned that there are people that make a lot of money and they still live paycheck to paycheck. And it's true, so uh, I thought, hey, if people that make less money, they can save, so can I. So that's kind of where that it all started for me. And I started my entrepreneurship journey at the same time. And I feel like they've both been parallel for me, starting a business and learning how to manage money, because also it's important, I think, when you have a business, right? If you don't understand how money works, because money is what keeps the business going. So
Mm.
I found it was relevant for me to learn, not just personal, but business wise as well. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it, and it's such an amazing story, and now what do you do? So what do you do in your business
Yes.
now? And you have many different avenues, so tell us all about it.
Yes. So I do have a charity that I started 12 years ago. And then my mission in life then, and still is now, I really want to be the resource for young people, because I feel young people are the next generation. And if we don't teach them, first of all, if we don't teach them what we did wrong so they can make it right, then what are we doing, right? We need, it's our responsibility. So I have the charity which supports young women to get into STEM fields, and I particularly focus there with families that have come from low income, to give them some sort of education, and then they can get them into post-secondary and then get started into any STEM field career. But now I've started a business to teach young people and their families about money and how money works. So I created this course called Money Made, and this course focuses on helping young people, teach them how money works, teach them about budgeting, saving, investing, compound interest, and money mindset. You know, we have so much knowledge out there, I know, but there's also, I feel like, is misleading sometimes, and it's not applying to you personally. So I want to make sure that the course provides um, somewhat custom basics, which I think where everyone should start. And like you said earlier, a very high percentage of our population does not have financial literacy. And it really isn't as hard as we think it is. We just hear all these messages and it makes it intimidating, because if we don't have millions of dollars to invest, therefore we're just not going to even start, which is not true. I started with $20,
Yeah.
when I was on welfare, and it's doable. And it doesn't matter really what age you are, it really matters. Well, of course, it's important to start young because you have age as a huge benefit, but
Yeah.
you can start at any stage in your life, because there's always something there for you. And what I want people to get from this course and from me, it's the before you even go out there to ask for a service, you go into a bank or you talk to a financial advisor, you should know what you need. You should know where you are in life. You should know what your goals are. Imagine this. You go to you want to buy a car, right? And then you have a family of four, right? So, and you go to a car dealership, and then you go there, you have no idea. You don't know what car you need or what you never thought about. You just show up at the car dealership and they say, you know what, you should buy this two-seater. Like it's so cool. It's so, it makes you look whatever. It makes you look like you're rich, or it makes you look like, and then you buy it, but you can't really use it because it's not designed for you and your family. I feel the same way about financial literacy. You should have financial literacy before you talk to anyone about your money. You should know where you stand. You should know everything there's to know about where you want to go in life. You know what I mean? When it comes to goals and where you are with money right now. And that's so important. And I want to get people to that point. And then when you talk to a financial advisor, they shouldn't sell you things that you don't need. you
Mhm.
know, some most banks, all banks, and anyone, when you go to any financial institution, they can they will sell you something that they have, not
Mhm.
necessarily what you need. So that's why it's important for you to know what you need, where you stand and what you need, what your goals are, and then you can say, this is great that you have this, but it's not for me. Right?
Yeah, and how will you even know what's for you if you don't know what your goals are?
Absolutely.
So before we even dive deeper into that, I want to just go back for a second
Yes.
because you didn't mention the name of your non-for-profit. And
Okay.
so I love it. Tell
Thank
us the
you.
name so that people can find you.
Sure. The name of the nonprofit is called Hervolution. It was,
Her-volution. It's
yes.
the evolution of her.
Yes, it is the evolution of her. Yes, it's her evolution, and yes,
And for
and
those who are listening who don't know what STEM is, could you explain that to them?
oh
So if
yes,
they're
thank you for
interested.
reminding me, because you know what? When I started the organization, I was so intimidated because I come from the social work background. That's just my education. My goal in life, I want to empower or be the tool to empower people that need support. This is what I want to do with my life. This is my life's purpose. So, but when I started the organization, I felt like, oh my God, I don't know if I can start this because I'm not really in STEM. And then I got the speaking opportunity to go speak with a room full of people that are in the aerospace industry. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, what am I going to say? I feel so intimidated. And I go have my 20 minutes talk. And then I'm like, if you have any question, and somebody put their hand up, I'm like, please ask me something I know. Don't ask me something I don't know. And then it goes, what is STEM? And I was like, okay, yes. So thanks for reminding me that just because, I know what it is doesn't mean other people know what it is. So
Mm.
STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yes. So
Yeah.
people, youth who are looking to be able to go into that field and also
Yes.
learn about money and step into leadership, like what you do in there, you've elaborated for me, is absolutely incredible. So I
Mhm.
just want to just say to all, there's probably not many kids listening, and I'm sure there's many parents with kids.
Yes.
It's an incredible place to start. So make sure you look up Hervolution. We'll make sure we put that link in the description for you so that you could check that out as well. So that's your non-for-profit.
Yes.
And then the name of your company.
So the name of the company is Money Made. So it's called the Money Made course.
Love it.
And that's, I'm just the beginning stages with that. I'm creating right now courses for young people that are 16 to 18 and their parents, the whole entire family. Because again, I feel like you as a young person should learn about money with your parents. And instead of learning on your own and you're gonna go to different way, right? You
Well,
just
we
want
say
to
you
learn.
can't outgrow your environment. And
Right.
so in Landmark Worldwide, it's an NLP education center, which I absolutely love. In
Mm,
order for the children to do the youth program, the parents have to do the adult program. And
right.
that's because when you send a child with a new an awareness into an environment that is going to squash them, keep them small, make them bad and wrong without an equal awareness, because
Hmm.
unfortunately, our ego will come in and say, hey, this person often, like we might invite it, we might,
Yes.
and often the ego feels, oh, they know more than me, and we will actually unconsciously sabotage them. And so
Right.
it's super important that the conversation can be met at the same intellectual level for
Yes.
the parent and the child. So I love that you create that environment for them to come in to grow together,
Yeah. Thank you.
because it truly is essential for the success of both and the continued health of their relationship.
Hmm.
Because they say you can't outgrow your environment, but they also say if those don't grow with you who are around you, you will leave them behind and it
Yeah.
impacts relationships. So we always want to bring everybody up with us. So I love that you
Yeah.
do that with both the children and the parents.
And when it comes to money, there's so much money blockages or money mindset that comes from the parents as well. So I feel like if I'm just going to teach the young people and they're not going to practice that at home,
And the
they're not going to
conditioning
continue.
just goes right back in and we go
Absolutely.
right back to where we
Absolutely.
started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, love it, guys. This is such a great conversation so far. So, we've got three great tips for you. We've already started to talk about some of them, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper. And then, of course, Doina has a great gift for you at the end. And then, my favorite, a book recommendation. And so, tip number one, don't
Yes.
be afraid to look at your money. So, one of the first exercises in our Success Principles course that all of our clients study is vision casting. And there's a chart that says current state and future state. So, in
Yes.
order to design our life, we actually need to identify where we are and where we're going. So,
Yes.
and I love the tip because you say, don't be afraid to look at your money and learn where your
Yes.
finances are and build a relationship with it. Look at it daily. So, tell us about this.
Yes. Well, this was I come up with this. Funny enough, there's a lot of these tips out there, and I later on I learned that they actually exist, but I didn't know back then. So for me, where it came a tip that I gave myself that I also share with others, which is this one, is that there was a time when I went to the store. So I didn't look at my bank account. Like I mentioned earlier, when I started, I was $60,000 in debt. I didn't know much then how much. I knew I was in debt. I didn't know how much debt. And I thought if I don't look at my bank account, then I'm cool. I'm okay. I'll go to the store and I'm like, I just don't know.
The avoidance tactic. If
Basically,
I
yes.
avoid it, it doesn't exist,
Yes. It's
right?
just if I don't see it, it's not there. It doesn't exist, right? So one time I remember I went to store with my kids. I went to the store to buy groceries. And I had a cart full of things for them, like food. And I'm about to pay, tap, like put in the card. Back then there was no tap. You was had to literally have to put in your PIN number. So I would put in the PIN number, insufficient funds. Start to take some stuff out. The line starting to build. Again, I tap in again, insufficient funds. Oh, some people were getting frustrated and line up. Some people were feeling sorry for me. The the cashier was very calm in the beginning, but after a while, because I think I thought like 6 or 7 times insufficient funds. And the only thing I could afford at that point was a box of crackers that cost $2.40. And I said, I need to know where I'm at financially. And I remember I came home and I sat my kids down and I said, I promise you, this will never happen again. Right now, we need to scramble. We might need to go to food bank and get food from there so we can eat. So don't ask me for things that are, expensive or whatever I cannot give you. You have to eat whatever I give you. But I promise you, this is never going to happen again. And what I did, I would look at my money on a daily basis. I look at my account, and then I thought to myself, first of all, I made a promise to my kids. I need to keep that promise. So I said, what do I need? Like, how much does it actually cost for me to have a roof over our heads, to have food and clothes, like the basics? You know what I mean? So I made a list of the things that I need and my kids need. And then I look at my money where I was and I said, I need to fix this. And that's what helped me actually fix this, you know? And when I look at my bank account and my rule of thumb is this: I can't have less than $1,000 in my bank. Like anything, checking, savings, gotta be. If in anything less than $1,000, I'm starting to freak out. Even if it's $999.99, I'm just like, no, no, no. I need to have that in my bank account because that makes me feel safe. So it also contributes to my thinking that I can't, I made a promise to my kids, but also a promise to myself that I have to fix this. You know what I mean? So of course you gotta look at your money. You have to build that relationship because your money tells you where you are. And sometimes it could be your money could tell you, I am here because, I probably spent too much money on something. You look at your statements, right? And then you see I spent too much money on something that I shouldn't have. But you know what? That's okay because now I know where I'm at and I can fix it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why this is the relationship with money that I want people to have. It's not about like punishing yourself. It's about that's okay. You know what I mean? I needed to spend some money because things can happen for people, especially people with families and kids. You have extra expenses that you never really thought you would have, and they're just unexpected. And that's okay. but just you know exactly where you're going, so you know you can fix it, right? And this is my thing about my tip about have a relationship with money.
Yeah, and I love that. So money is a thing, it's an energy, and
Yes,
you want to build a relationship with it. And being able to identify where our money is going is
yes,
also super helpful. One of my favorite podcast guests, he has his own podcast, Be Your Own Bank, and he taught me every dollar has a duty. And it
yes,
was the first time I had heard that. And he said,
yes,
I'm really wealthy. And ask really wealthy people how much money they actually have in their, like, say, spending account. They have
yes,
a certain amount that they'll always keep in there, but everything else has a duty. So it is
yeah,
going into an investment, it's going to a bill, it's going to something. And because if we don't, it just goes into the spending account, and then we spend and say, oh, we didn't have any money. But what happened is we actually didn't manage it. And the first step to managing it is building that relationship with it. And I
yes,
love how you noted not to make yourself bad and wrong, because I think for many people, that's why they don't
yes,
look at it and they avoid it because they feel bad, wrong, guilty, and shame about it. But guys, it is not your fault. It's not talked about, it's not taught, and you don't know what you don't know. And you're only going to learn by opening the curtains and taking a
yes,
peek at what you have, where you want to go, and then educate yourself on the tools to help you get there. But it first means open the curtains, have an honest conversation with yourself
yes,
about it, and no make wrong. Everything just is what it is. Nothing is good or bad, right or wrong, except for what you make it. So it just
yes,
is what it is. And only by identifying where we are can we create and know where we're going, can we fill the gap with what we need to do. So no
absolutely,
make wrong, build that relationship and start it now if you haven't already.
yes,
I love it. Okay, so tip number 2, set financial goals. Set your goals for life and know the dollar value. So an example, if you wanted to hang out with friends, what does that look like? What does it mean? What's the price for
yeah,
it? And creating a vision of what you desire, know what things cost. And the more you know about it, the more you know what the money looks like and what you need to have to get that goal. So tell us
yes.
about that.
So yes, I know for me, especially, I would say I want to spend more time with my friends or more time with my kids, for example. And what does that look like? What does that actually mean?
Mm,
Right? And that's why, if you set a goal, as an example, then that goes for any age, for young kids, I want to spend time with my friends. What does that mean? Does that mean that you want to go to eat, go to a bar, or go for drink, go out for dinner? You want to go on vacation with your friends? You want to, to go a retreat with your friends? What does that actually mean? So be very specific about the goal, and then do your research and figure out how much does it actually cost, you know to if you want to just go for dinner, then you just go for dinner. You say, okay, I'm going to set a budget for this, to say I'm going to spend $50, for example. If you want to have the bigger goal and say I want to go on vacation with my friends once a year, then you can think about it. Okay, maybe I would like to go to Bali for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks and have a retreat there. You can just go online and research how much does it actually cost, right? What else do I need? Like transportation, hotel, food, and things like that. Do I need to buy things ahead of time to help me to prepare for this trip, right? What does that look like? Because even if you go, let's say, somewhere cheap, like you go to Mexico, but you might need a bathing suit. You might need to, you might need to buy some other things that you need. You need to spray tan. I don't know, something. You know what I mean? So again, this is your dream, so you make it as you want it, but then figure out how much does it cost. So when you have those goals and then you add a dollar value to it, that's what I mean by dollar value. Figure out how much does it actually cost. Now you know that you can move towards that goal, and it makes it more achievable. We don't want to live with regret either. We want to look at our money and feel like, oh my God, I spent so much money on something. That's okay, because that might have been part of your goal that you want to spend with your friends, on a vacation. And so now you know that you can do it again, right?
Yeah.
You know that you did it. I come from nothing. I was able to save this, because that's another thing, to go back to tip number one. When you look at your money, you actually get to see some of the things that you have done. As an example, you save the money, you went on a trip with your friends, and of course, you're going to look like you have less money in your account. But when you look at that and you say, look at the memories that I made with my friends. So it's not always bad when you look at the money and where you spend it. It's you having that relationship with money to say, is the money is going to give me the life I want,
Yeah,
right?
it's a tool. And we've talked about that on our
Yes,
previous call together about having the gratitude for money. So
yes,
instead of looking at what you've spent and feeling bad or
yes,
wrong or having a story about it, instead looking at it with a state of gratitude. So we
yes,
talked about every time
yes.
we pay our bills, they're tools to help us live the quality of life that we desire. So from the
Hmm.
book, The Magic, every time I receive an invoice, I write thank you paid. And every time I pay a bill or get a receipt, I write thank you for the money on it.
Hmm.
And it's a practice where we start to change the energy of things cost something, because that has a negative connotation to it.
Right.
You actually gratitude and what you got in exchange, because money is a currency,
Yes,
energy is a currency, time is a currency. And if that's the currency you're choosing to use, what are you grateful that you're getting in return for it? And what does that service actually provide for you? So when
yes,
you're looking at your money, it's actually finding gratitude about it. So I love where you
yes.
talked about creating the goal. And she also talked about in the first tip about creating absolute clarity.
Hmm.
And so not just financial goals and like going on a vacation or hanging out with friends, but absolute clarity on what your quality of life price is. And
Yes,
so the house, the food, the vacations, the time off. One of the things that I struggled in my early 20s with money was I never actually had money put away for fun. And Robert Kiyosaki was like, you need to put at least 2% away and spend 2% on fun, because that's what you get, like part of what you want the money for. And so I'd
yes,
always think, oh, I've got all this money for all my expenses. But then you're thinking, well, you want to go out on the weekend and eat with a friend. You took a cab or an Uber or whatever. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm behind again. But it's
hmm.
because I never put those in the equation.
You
So it's just
budget fun.
yeah, budget fund,
Yes,
like put
yes,
all of that in the equation.
yes.
And I still remember a friend the first time she would go on a trip every year. And I was like, how are you doing this? She's like, well, at the beginning of the year, I decide where I want to go. I set the date. I decide what the cost is, the spending, the cost of the trip, the money I'll need before to get the things that I want.
Yes,
And I reverse engineer it into the certain amount of money that I take off my paycheck every other
yes,
week. And so she literally worked part time, had a great career, decided to work part time because she was so great with her money, and still went on this amazing vacation every year. And I was like, what is happening? And it was because of her ability to cast the vision of what's the quality of life she wants, what is the price point that goes along with it. So you call it dollar value. So what's the
hmm,
dollar value that goes along with it so that you can have that? And then
hmm.
setting that goal and reverse engineering it to whatever it is, $20 a month, $20 a week,
Yeah,
that you can actually create what you want. And it's the same way you go and get any goal, right? Imagine if you wanted to lose 30 pounds and you went to the gym one time and you're like, I didn't lose it. I guess I just won't. I guess I
yes,
won't. I won't go to the gym. It's the same thing with money, right? It takes
absolutely.
time to accumulate. And so people say, oh, I can't go on vacation, or I can't have that, or I can't do that education because I don't have this chunk of cash. And the truth is, you're going to get the chunk of cash by setting the goal, reverse engineering, put a plan in place, and then actually take action to follow the plan and put the money away for you. And on that point, I just have to say here, my favorite book recommendation for this topic would be Profit First, where it's teaching you not only to do that, also putting money away so that you are building generational wealth and wealth that you can retire and live off of instead of work until you're dead and still owe money.
Yes, I just turned 50. I want to retire in like less than 10 years. I don't, I want to be the other statistic. I don't want to, yes,
And we would talk before that now you're so good with money, you just saved $10,000 and did a kitchen
yes,
renovation.
I
Like
did in 1 year. Yes.
whole contrast, right? You
I
had a
didn't make any extra money. I didn't make any extra money. I didn't mean that, I set a goal. I want to save $10,000 in a year. And I had my own savings tracker, which like every week I get to save maybe 100, 200, 300, or $400. It was divided with 52 weeks. And as I would save, I would cross, those weeks. And then of course, the $400 a week was really hard. But I'm like, okay, this is why I say about have a relationship with your money. Look at your money, say, okay, so what are you telling me? So I'm spending too much money on this, but I really want to save. So I'm okay to making that a little bit of sacrifice, so to speak, to save, because this is important to me, to save. I didn't know what I was going to do with the $10,000, to be honest. I just wanted to save $10,000 to see if I can do it, you know. And I also did, like you're saying, I said, great. I share so much gratitude for the bills that I got, and also one tip in terms of how I did it is that anything that was less than $100. So if I pay a bill, because you was mentioned earlier, you pay yourself first. And this is what it means to me. To me, it's like if I pay a bill that is less than $100, I pay myself the exact same amount. So I'll put it into my savings. So let's say I have my phone bill that it's $97. I put $97 for the phone bill and I say, thank you so much. Now I have a phone. I can run a business. I can talk to people. I can have a life. And I'll also pay myself $97 to go towards my goal. And anything over that is 10%. So like 100 plus 10%. So, anything over $100. So it'll be like 100 plus 10%. So I'll just pay $110, let's say, or whatever. So I, and yes, it might feel uncomfortable in the beginning because you're like, oh, I want to spend this. But the more you do it, it becomes a habit. And then now you know that when you look at your money, as the tip number one, to look at your money and you see your savings account grow, you're like, yes, I can do this. You know
I
what I mean?
can.
I can do this.
I
It's
can do this.
yes.
And
So
I
it's
love that
empowering.
she showed you that she could do it without earning any more money. It
Yeah.
was just every dollar had a duty and where was it
Yes.
going?
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, so let's dive into tip number three, which
Yes.
I think is super important. We covered a little bit, but I would like to go into it a little bit more, and then you
Yes.
can tell people how they can come and take the courses with you. So, starting to have conversations about money with your family and where the money mindset comes from, or as we're
Mhm.
starting to hear the word, the money trauma comes from. To
Yes.
become more familiar so that the money conversations are not taboo. So they say
Mm-hmm.
that wealthy people are absolutely comfortable talking about money, and poor and struggling people are not. So we need to get comfortable talking about it first and understanding where the beliefs and the negative
Yes.
connotations and everything that we have been conditioned by comes from. So parents often might hide the information from the kids, but then what happens? The kids grow up and don't know how to use it. So tell us more about
Yes.
that. And
Well, yes, we parents, first of all, they are not taught about money. So it's not your fault. You know, if you feel like you don't have enough information, many people don't. I didn't have enough information and it got me into, and I thought I was okay, but then I wasn't, right? So um it's not your fault that you don't have that information. But having open conversations about money, and as I mentioned earlier, when I went to the bank, I mean, when I went to the store and all I had was $2.40, I had a conversation with my kids and I told them, this is where I'm at. I am going to make it better, but I need your help, right? So having conversations as a family at family dinner and just make it okay to talk about, I had to pay this bill, it cost this much, or, we're going to go on vacation. Let's all put our effort together. So as a family, we get to save our money for our trip as a family trip. And, sometimes you might need to give up some stuff because you feel like, well, you know what, it's not that important. The trip is important, as an example, right? Like the trip with the family is important. But you also having those conversations as a family, especially for young people as they grow older at 16, 17, 18, and you think now you're going to be ready to go out in the world, and then you don't even understand where all of this thoughts or beliefs or habits come from. But having conversations with your family, now you understand this is this is where it's coming from. But also you can go deeper as a family and talk about it and realize that your parents couldn't teach you what they didn't know. So it's
mm,
not their fault that they just didn't know, right? So um but it's so important to have, because just like when you go to therapy, when you have gone to trauma, the best way to go through it, to run, to get over it, so to speak, for lack of a better expression, but the best way to heal yourself, let me just say it better, it's to talk about it, to not keep it a secret anymore. So the same thing with money. As a family, you should have those conversations with your spouse, with your kids. You as a parent, talk to your parents if they're still alive, or your brothers and sisters, and see where, like, understand where it's all coming from, because if you have certain beliefs, you can pass it on to your kids. And as parents, I'm sure as parents, we don't want to pass bad advice
Habits
or
or
bad
beliefs or
habits,
actions
yes,
or
to our kids.
conditioning.
We want the best for our children, and the best way to start is be able to have conversations about money as a family, where it's not a secret. Or sometimes young kids, they go out there and they spend money, they think, oh, we're rich, but meanwhile the parents are struggling, and that's not okay. Or the parents are spoiling the kids too much and they never learn about money, how to actually, how to manage their money. They just think there's only going to be there, and they go out there in the world and things can happen.
Surprise.
Surprise. So this is why it's important to have those conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so you have an incredible gift for everyone today
Yes.
to be able to take a quick quiz on what's
Yes.
your money icon. So tell us about that.
Yes. So I created this quiz, let's call it that, because we all know that sometimes in order for us to start our money journey, is we want to identify, especially as a young person, we want to identify who are we, like what's my personality, my money personality. And I created 4 different personalities, so to figure out whether you're a saver, an investor, where you spend too much money, or you don't spend enough, or you don't have enough fun, or what does that look like for you. So you can take that test, and it helps you understand where you at, and it gives you some tips on how to make it better. And I encourage every young person to take that test. Let's not call it a test, because we're not in school. It's a
No,
quiz.
it's a
It's a
quiz.
Yes, it's a quiz. It helps you learn about your money personality as a young person.
I love it. So everyone's going to go and you're going to click on that link and take this fun quick quiz to
Yes,
unlock your money potential and learn how to make your cash work for you.
yes.
So I absolutely love that. And then last but not least, tell us your favorite book recommendation for our audience and why.
Yes. So I love the book called We Should All Be Millionaires by
Me
Rachel
too.
Rogers. She is not your typical, well, first of all, she's not a financial advisor. And what I loved about the book, in terms of financial advice, she doesn't say, stop drinking coffee every day, and then therefore you're going to save $5 a day, and therefore you're going to save whatever. That's not even a lot. I mean, what if coffee is the only thing I have? So you're going to take that away from me? It's about money mindset, where you get to now think, this is the lifestyle I want, and what do I need to do to get that? How much money do I need to get that? So I feel like when I was reading the book, it's like she was talking to me, like, oh, I kind of thought about that the same way. So I've made me feel like I can now have someone on my side which thinks the way I do about money. It's not about limiting yourself. It's about what can you do to grow. You know what I mean? To have the growth mindset. So the book has all of that. And I think it's amazing. I think everyone, especially as young women, read it.
Mm.
Read that book. Yes.
I definitely agree, especially as a woman, you definitely want to read that book. She talks about the trauma of money
Yes.
in our female lineage and how it wasn't until I think it was almost the 70s that women who were divorced could have their own bank account.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that we don't realize that is ingrained, conditioned and unconscious within us. And 98% of our thoughts, feelings, actions, and results and our life are run by our unconscious programming. So,
Mm-hmm.
what's your money unconscious programming? I think that quiz is going to help you identify
Yes.
some of it. And then definitely working with someone like Doina, who can be able to help you to identify the current state, the future state, and fill the gap and not sell you products that you don't need, but actually customize a plan that works for you.
Yes.
So I love what you do. And I love that you teach it also to youth and your non for profit. Thank you for everything that you do. Congratulations on your
Thank you.
success, on your achievements, on all that you've overcome. And not only that you overcame it, you've now turned around and you're helping others do the same. So, absolutely incredible. Thank you again so much for being on the show and
Thank
for
you.
all that you do.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely incredible episode. So, guys, make sure you click that link, take that quiz. We will put all her information below if you want to connect with her and learn more and truly build financial freedom. So, thank you again for tuning into the show. May you stay happy, healthy, wealthy, expect magic and miracles, and remember what's the best that can happen. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.